So welcome to week 4. Can you believe it? It just seems like it's going by so fast. So this week, you're going to be reading about several different things in chapter 7 and 8, and one of them is fraud. And so I wanted to provide you with news you can use that I don't think is in the textbook. And that is information about the Office of the Inspector General, the OIG, and the work plan that they publish every year. The Office of the Inspector General is the police force of the Department of Health and Human Services, as well as the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. So they are the ones that will investigate potential fraud and other potential concerns about illegalities and the various levels of such. So every year, and I think this is really interesting and helpful, is every year the OIG plans in advance what and who they will be investigating. And then they publish that to-do list, if you will, by October 1st for the following calendar year. So this gives you the insight into what they may be investigating and what they will be doing with regard to audits that could land or could end up in massive fines and penalties, as well as potential jail or prison time. And yes, coders can go to jail. So the really cool thing is, by downloading the work plan and reviewing it every October, you can uncover possible errors. Now, of course, we know that you would never be involved in fraud, but possible errors, possible this is the way we always did this and nobody knew that it was wrong. And then correct those coding and billing errors before there is a federal or state audit of what is going on in your facility. Now, automatically, the fact that you do this and you can prove it will reduce the fines and penalties as much as 70%, according to the federal sentencing guidelines. So just by doing this and double checking all the processes in your office, and like I said, the Office of the Inspector General produces this work plan. They're telling you right away what they're going to do. And it is already sectioned out by the type of facility. So if you are working in a nursing home, you can skip right to the part that says in nursing homes, we're going to be looking at this, that, and the other thing. Okay, so you're not wasting time and you're not having to go over everything that you're doing. You can just really focus and each year hone and correct what's going on and make it near perfect. I mean, nothing is perfect, but okay. So sometimes the issues identified in the work plan are directly billing and coding. They're looking for people who are reporting this particular code when there isn't documentation or something like that. Other times, the issue may be more on the administrative side. But again, if you just get in the habit of every October downloading the work plan and reviewing it, you have the opportunity to really look like a hero, like the smartest one in your facility. And you can just write a quick memo, you know, so that you have documentation. You know how we love documentation. So you can document, these are the corrections we need to look at and investigate within our own facility, or this year there's nothing that applies to us, or whatever it may be. But this gives you the opportunity to really shine with your supervisor and the board, because you can show that you are paying attention to details and you are watching their backs. And that is an excellent employee who I think everybody should want to give a raise and a promotion to. All right. So do you have any questions about the OIG work plan? Okay. I will link it into the course room so you can take a look at it and see where it is. Sometimes it's a little hard to find on the OIG website, but you don't need any special credentials or anything. It's up there, public view. And as I said, this is not only a way for you to do your job responsibly, it's important for you to make sure you oversee what is going on in your system. And I know that sometimes it can be intimidating, especially when you're right out of school and newly credentialed, and you go into a facility where, you know, there are coders who have been there for years, and you tend to and I do too, you know, you tend to automatically think, oh, Renee has been here for 8 years. She certainly knows what she's doing. But it all depends on if she actually got the right education. Okay. Because sometimes there are people who's like, oh, you're the reception in a doctor's office, you know, oh, you're the receptionist. Okay, why don't you do some billing and coding? The doctor will circle it. You just put it on a claim. And that's really, really, really bad procedure. Okay. You guys have gone through the education. You guys are going to be certified, and you all, as a result of being certified, will have to do your continuing education every year. Not a big deal. Lots of free opportunities for that. But it's important to keep up to date. So if you have somebody who's been there for 8 years and, you know, dropped out of coding school and hasn't been to a seminar or a webinar or read an article in the last 8 years, you guys are probably more qualified and know more than they do. Now, I'm not suggesting that you go in like a bull in a china shop and say, oh, you're not certified. I am. Shut up. I know more than you, because that's not good politically. But things like using the work plan where you can evidence that you knew enough to look for it, to look at it and compare it with what's going on in your facility to make sure that everything is kosher, is important, because the facility will suffer if you don't. And think about it. There was a few years ago, there was I think he was a chiropractor in South Florida, and they got hit with an audit. The audit resulted in fines and penalties totaling $275,000. Now, do you think a little chiropractor's office can afford to pay out $275,000 to the United States government without cutting back? You think they just have that sitting around? So that becomes problematic for the continuation of the facility. One second, water. What I mean by that is maybe somebody will have to get fired because they can't afford to pay your salary. Or maybe they need to close down. That's happened too. So if you think, well, if I say something, they might get mad at me and fire me. The fact is whether you do it or you're not, the danger is there. It's much better for you to share your education with your employer and help improve things. And think about your patients who could one day be you, who might be getting ripped off because they're not doing things the right way. And it could be innocent. I'm not saying they're all criminals. I'm saying it could be innocent. I didn't know. Well, you guys now have the education, so you know. Okay, any questions about the work plan? I know I asked you that already, but then I added some more interesting information. So, okay. All right, this week you're going to read chapter 7, medical records and health information technology, and chapter 8, privacy, security, and fraud. Fraud, bad fraud. Okay, privacy, HIPAA privacy rule. Security, HIPAA security rule. You are required to know both. Important, important, important. Now, the privacy rule, yes, I went ahead and earlier today, I uploaded the summary of the privacy rule, the HIPAA privacy rule. It's only 6 pages. It's really culled down, easy to understand. I strongly recommend that you download it and keep it for reference, okay? It will help very much when you're studying for your certification exam, as well as building your career that does not land you in jail or prison. Okay. All right. Do your homework after you do the reading. And as I said, there's a security rule summary. Google it. Okay. Google HIPAA security rule summary. It'll take you right to the page. And then you got to scroll down, read up on the safeguards. This is stuff you need to know. You need to know this for your career and also for the certification exam, but more so because when you go on an interview and they ask you questions, they're going to expect you to know the answers. If you don't know the answers, they're not going to say, what are you learning in that school? They're just going to say, thanks very much. We'll be making our decision within the next week or 2. That's all you're going to know. You're not going to know that you did not obtain the knowledge that we expect you to hear because they expect you to hear. Okay. That's all I got for you today. I didn't want to overload you too much. You know, I like to give you little appetizers, little bites of information. I think it makes it easier to remember and learn. And by gosh, by golly, you guys learn. Okay. If you don't have any other questions, I will see you in the course room. Okay.
All right.
Okay. Thanks for coming.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.